This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so we are in Daf Yudalid Amud Bet.
This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so picking up on the Gemara begins on the Mishnah on Daf Yudalid Amud Bet 14b, and we said Yediyat Hatuma was Shtayin Shein Arba. Right? Again, we're still dealing this parak, a 5 Daf parak. We're dealing still with the first topic before we even get to Shavuot, which is oaths. And we're dealing with Yediyot HaTumah. Yediyot HaTumah, we said, was 2 that's 4. What were the 2 that's 4 in the Mishnah we said? We're on 14b, b2. The 2 that's 4 in the Mishnah was the person knew that he was Tameh, forgot he was Tameh, and then either entered Mikdash or ate Kodesh. Right? I'm sorry, knew that he was knew that he was Tameh, forgot he was Tameh, and either entered Mikdash or ate Kodesh, right? And then afterwards realized, he had his Oiveh moment, I was Tameh. That's 2. That becomes 4. He knew he was Tameh throughout, but he knew that this was Mikdash, forgot this area was Mikdash, remembered it was Mikdash, or that's 4, that's 3, and then 4 is, he knew that he was Tameh throughout, forgot that this was Kodesh, knew it was Kodesh, forgot it was Kodesh, remembered it was Kodesh. Those are 2, that's 4. The Gemara asks, Amar Rav Papa LaAbaye. Rav Papa says to Abaye, Shtayin Shehin Arba, why are we calling this 2 that's 4? Shtayin Shehin Sheish Havyan. It's actually 2 that's 6, meaning there are actually 6 not awarenesses of, there are 6 awarenesses. Let's hear. Yediyat Hatuma Tchila V'Sof. I knew that I was Tameh in the beginning. I forgot in the middle and I did what I did, Kodesh or Mikdash, and then I remembered. So that's 2. Yediyat Hatuma Tchila V'Sof. I knew that I was Tameh in the beginning. I knew I was Tameh in the end. I forgot in the middle and I did whatever I did. Yediyot HaKodesh Tchila V'Sof. I knew this was Kodesh. I forgot that it was Kodesh. I remembered it was Kodesh, and I was Tameh when I dealt with it. So Yediyot HaKodesh Tchila V'Sof. And Yediyat Mikdash. I knew this was Mikdash. I forgot that this was Mikdash, sanctified area. And I entered when I was Tameh. And then I realized that it was Mikdash. So it's really 6. There's the Tumah, knowledge of Tumah beginning and end, knowledge of Kodesh beginning and end, and knowledge of Mikdash beginning and end. And in the middle, he forgot and entered or ate in a state of Tumah. That's the question that Rav Papa posed to Abaye, to which Abaye answered, Ule ta'amech, and according to the way you're looking at it, according to your reasoning, Timnei Havyan. There's really 8, right? Why? Because the Tumah has 2 facets. He knew Tameh, right? Beginning and end, in the middle, forgot. Well, what happened in the middle? Either Kodesh in the middle or Mikdash in the middle. Right? Ta'ika tumat mikdash, kodesh, v'tuma mikdash, tchila v'sof. You have awareness of kodesh beginning and end. You have awareness of mikdash beginning and end. And you have awareness of tuma beginning and end with kodesh in the middle. And awareness of tuma beginning and end with mikdash in the middle. The Gemara says, so that's 8. That's the question we're asking to Rav Papa. Rav Papa, you say there's 6. Knowledge of Mikdash beginning and end, knowledge of Kodesh beginning and end, and knowledge of Tumah beginning and end. Well, Tumah has 2 cases. Knowledge of Tumah beginning and end with Mikdash in the middle. knowledge of Tumah beginning and end with Kodesh in the middle. So according to your reason that you're splitting up like this, you should even have 8. Why are you asking high? There's really 6. There's not 4, there's 6. We could ask there's not 4, there's 8. The Gemara says, Halo kashya. No, that's not such a problem. Shem tuma achati. Right? The shem tuma, right? Tuma beginning and end with mikdash or kodesh in the middle, that counts as one set, not 2 sets, because either one has tuma, awareness of the tuma of the impurity, both beginning and end. Amar Rav Papa. But Rav Papa now comes back to answer his own question. And he says as follows, you're right. La'olam really timnei havyan. Really, there are 8 cases here. Again, what are the 8? Are we clear on all this, guys?
Yes.
I'm building it right. I knew that it was Kodesh, beginning and end, right? But forgot in the middle. I knew that it was Mikdash, beginning and end, forgot in the middle. I knew that I was Tameh, beginning and end, and I entered Mikdash. I knew that I was Tameh, beginning and end, and I ate Kodesh. Really, that's 8.
Now, all of these cases are if the person himself comes to the realization that he forgot.
Correct.
So if he's told by somebody else, is it a different case?
No, that's fine. Right? I don't care how he becomes aware. As long as he knows afterwards, right? Right? In other words, I was with Joe.
Mhm.
We visited someone in the hospital, right? And then we heard cries from next door. Oh, we both knew that this person died next door. We were under the same ceiling. The roommate died. We were under the same ceiling. We became Tameh. Okay? I forgot. And I went and I visited the Beit HaMikdash. Right? And then afterwards, sorry?
You realize that. Somebody came to you the next day after you went.
And after I was in the Beit HaMikdash,
Joel,
right? No, I knew I need Yudiyah beginning and end. I knew I was Tameh in the beginning. You only have the korban if you knew beginning and end.
So if you don't, if Joel comes to you the next day and says, you know what, I found out when we were in the hospital, somebody died.
And I was in the
base of Mikdash.
And I was in the Mikdash, right, in the interim.
Yes.
So that's the case of no Yediyah beginning, yes Yediyah in the end, and that's what we said, that the Seir of Yom Kippur will atone for that. The communal Seir for Yom Kippur will atone for that. I as an individual, am only obligated to bring this sacrifice when there was Yediyah awareness beginning, forgot in the middle, and awareness at the end.
Okay, so it doesn't cover that case.
That case, so we said, if I was aware in the beginning, not in the middle, and I'm still not aware, so there the seir that's brought in the whole, right, that goes on the inner mizbeach, that will fend off any repercussion until I find out. Once I find out, if I find out, I bring my fluctuating korban. In the case where there was no knowledge in the beginning and only knowledge in the end, they are the seir that goes on the outer altar, atones. In a case where I had no knowledge, not beginning, not in the end, they are the seir on the shalosh regalim, the communal seir that's brought on the 3 pilgrimage holidays, atones.
Okay.
I, as an individual, right? So those are 3 communal sacrifices which will atone for the situations of no knowledge beginning nor end, beginning not end, not beginning, right? Beginning not end, and end not beginning.
How about no knowledge, then somebody told you about it, and then you forgot, and you went into, you ate
So I did have knowledge beforehand. I knew I was Tameh before I went in.
Correct.
And I forgot.
Okay. So it doesn't
We're
matter
back to,
okay.
But, so the case, the only time I'm obligated to bring, which is what our Mishnah is dealing with this now. The previous Perek dealt with all those cases where you didn't have knowledge beginning and end, and therefore what covered you for the three possibilities of beginning, not end not beginning, not beginning, not end. Now we're dealing with yes, beginning, yes, end, not in the middle. There, that's the only case where I, as an individual, have to bring my own personal sacrifice, the carbon ola v'yored, up and down, fluctuating what I bring based upon my financial capabilities. Okay. So Rav Papa says, you're right. Really, we've got 8 cases, right? I knew Tuma straight through, but when it came to Mikdash, knew, forgot, knew. I knew Tuma straight through, but when it came to Kodesh, this food that is sanctified, I knew, forgot. Infraction happened during the middle case, and then I knew. Or case, I knew Tuma beginning and end. Mikdash entered Mikdash in the middle. I knew Tuma beginning and end. 8 Kodesh in the middle. So really there are 8. So why are we calling it 4? He explains. The Olam Timnei Havin. You're right. Really there are 8 cases. So why did we list it as 4? Arba'ai Kamaita. It's 4 cases of knowledge beginning and end. Right, guys? So the 4 knowledges in the beginning, we're not talking about those 4 knowledges. The awareness in the beginning in these 4 cases, which becomes 8 because we have awareness beginning, awareness end. The Gemara, Rav Papa's first answer is, we're not talking about the first awarenesses. Why not? Delo maitan le lidei korban. It's not the first awareness that makes him obligated in the korban. What makes him obligated in the korban? The reawakened awareness, the second awareness. So that's the cases that we're talking about. That's 2, that's 4. We have 2 cases of Tuma, right? I realized at the end I was Tameh and I had entered Mikdash. I realized in the end I was Tameh and I had entered Kodesh. That's the 2. That's 4 that I realized in the end it was Mikdash. I realized in the end it was Kodesh. Okay? So we're only talking about the 4 end awarenesses. Why the 4 end awarenesses? Because that's what mighty lidei korban. That's what brings the person to the obligation of bringing a sacrifice. Kamaita, the first ones, the low maitan lidei korban, which don't bring him to an obligation of a korban, lo kachoshev. We're not counting those. Arba'a batraita, the 4, the end awarenesses, the second awarenesses of those 4 cases. The maitan lidei korban, which brings him to that korban obligation, kachoshev. That we are counting. The Ika Da'amre, and there's alternatively a different version of Rav Papa's answer. Rav Papa says, L'olam Timnei Havayin. Yes, of course there's 8, but we're only counting 4. The first version was we're only counting the last 4. Why? Because that's what brings him to a korban obligation. Now he says the opposite. V'arba'ai kamaita deletneyu b'chol Torah kula kachashiv. We're only counting the first 4. Why? Let me ask you a question. Normally, I bring a chatat, a sin offering, if I inadvertently did something, right? I didn't know that I couldn't do that on Shabbos. Oh, right? Do we need anywhere else in the Torah? Do we need? I knew I couldn't do that on Shabbos. I forgot that I couldn't do on Shabbos, and then I remembered. No, we never need that first yediyah. We never require that it be a situation where you knew, you forgot, and then you once again knew. Right? The classic chatat is, I didn't know it was Shabbos. I didn't know. I got confused about the day. I didn't know it was Shabbos. right? At one point when we were living in Israel, so we had a oscillating fan on the wall, right? And it was hard to reach up to turn it on, off, high, low. So basically, we had it on medium, and it was plugged in near the bed. So it got cold, pull out the plug. We got hot, pull in the plug, and but we had to change the whole system because we end up doing it in our sleep, including Friday night, right? Right? It got cold. We pull out the plug. Wake up in the morning, the fan's off. Oh gosh, I must have pulled it out last night on Shabbos, right? So we had to start a new system, right? But that's the classic shogeg. I didn't know it was Shabbos when I pulled it out. I was half asleep. Or I knew it was Shabbos. I didn't know you can't do that. Oh, Rabbi, I didn't know you can't do that on Shabbos, right? And therefore, when you find out that A, it was Shabbos, B, you can't do that on Shabbos, what would you do? You would bring a korban chatat. You would bring that sin offering. You don't need to have a case where, right, whether I knew, forgot, or knew, I don't need that first yediyah. What's unique about these cases of the impurity of the tumah? What's right? And you either enter mikdash or
Stays with you.
I'm sorry.
It's something that stays.
Yes, but what's unique here is we learn up in the psukim. It had to have been that you knew, forgot, and then knew. But if it's like any other situation, any other mistaken chait situation where you didn't know in the beginning, but you found that in the end, here it's different. All other situations, all you need is the idea at the end, and you bring us the awareness in the end. You bring a sacrifice. Here, no. Here we have a unique requirement of the first yediyah. So you're right. We have 4 cases with yediyah beginning and end. So it's really 4. That's 8. Why did our Mishnah only discuss 2? That's 4. Because we're talking about what's unique over here. What's unique over here? The requirement of the first awareness. And that's 2. That's 4. So we're not talking about the second awareness. That's pedestrian. That's in all cases. We're talking about the first awareness. And there, that's 2, that's 4 cases. That's the second version of Papa. The first version of Papa was, we're not talking about the first awareness, because that doesn't obligate him in the Korban. It's only the second awareness when he has his oy vey moment, that's where he's obligating the Korban. Those are the 4 that we're focusing on. So the answer, Rav Papa, is you're right. It's 4, that's 8. There are 4 awarenesses in the beginning and 4 in the end. But we're either only focusing on the last 4 awarenesses, and that's 2, that's 4. Why? Because that's what obligates in the Korban. Or we're only focusing on the first 4 awarenesses, the 2, that's 4, because the first awarenesses is what's unique to this whole parsha. And the 2, that's 4 is always that in the middle, you forgot the Tumah and Kodesh Mikdash. That's 4 is, or you forgot the Mikdash, or you forgot the Kodesh.
Do you need awareness to, do you need awareness of the forgotten thing in order to be, for the korban to cover you? If you say you didn't know you were tamei, and you went to the mikveh anyway, you went every month, say. So after coming, are you covered and are you tahor when you come out of the mikveh?
Mikvah?
You became tamei, but
Right.
you didn't know how it happened.
Okay.
But you go to, Dove goes to the mikveh every couple of days.
Okay.
So you didn't have, or you bought it.
If a person went into the mikvah, the person comes out tahor, right, regardless of their awareness of their having been tamei or not.
Okay.
But that's only the tumah, right? Let's keep in mind, tumat mate, mikvah is not enough. You need the sprinkling, right? If you came in contact or on the same covering with a corpse, with a mate, so there mikvah doesn't do it for you. There you need the sprinkling of the red heifer ashes mixed with spring water.
If you bring a korban for something that you forgot, and because you didn't have knowledge of it, you bring in you didn't know that you did it, but then you found out that you did it. But then
I can't bring a carbon if I only bring a carbon if I'm obligated, or I can bring a free will offering.
you bring the carbon if you
For what? Why am I bringing this carbon?
because you were a tamei and ate something that was from the altar.
So I knew I was tamei, forgot, ate kodesh, knew I was tamei. I brought my carbon olav.
Correct.
Okay.
Then you find out you did it twice. You found out from somebody that you were tamei before.
I believe each infraction requires a carbon.
So when you found out about the time that you were not aware of, you thought you were tahor, you may have done something else too, because would you still be tamei? That's my question. You say you have to bring a carbon for each one of them.
What's the question? Once I go to the mikvah, I'm tahor.
Okay.
If I come in contact with tumah again, I'm tamei. Until the next time that I go to the mikvah when I become tahor. Assuming that we're not talking about corpse, tumas mace.
We're talking about something that you needed to bring a carbon for.
Whether or not I brought the carbon, if I went to the mikvah, I'm tahor. But I still am obligated in the carbon for what happened whilst I was tamei.
So it's more sacrifices, but no more in the mikvah.
Correct.
Once you come out, okay.
Correct.
Come out, please.
Okay. Boy Rav Papa. Okay, the second to last of the thin lines, second to last word, actually third to last of the thin lines. Boy Rav Papa. Rav Papa asked the following question. Nelmu mimenu hilchat tuma mahu. Let's say I knew that I touched this sheretz. The sheretz are those very clearly defined 8 animals that we discussed yesterday. That if a person touches their carcass, a person becomes tamei. So I did not know the laws of tumah. When I knew that I touched the sheretz, I didn't know that made me tamei. Mahu, what will the din be? Right? Is that considered an awareness since I knew I touched the sheretz? Or do we say that's not an awareness since I did not know that I was tamei?
What it kind of says here is you knew you touched the
Boy,
sheretz.
you're going ahead of me. The question. Now we need to try to define the question. Okay. Nelmu mimenu hilchos tumah. Right? The laws of tumah were hidden from him. What's the din? The Gemara says, hey chidami. What case are you referring to? Let's break it down. Ilema delo yada. If you want to say he did not know, isheretz tamei, tzvardeya tamei. He did not know if it is a sheretz or a he did not know. Is it a sheretz that makes me tamei? Or is it a tzvardeya that makes me tamei? That's what he was not sure. Right? Right? This Rashi says that tzav and the hal ta'ah are similar to a tzvardeya. And he doesn't know, is it the sheretz that makes me tamei, or is it the tzvardeya that makes me tamei? He doesn't know. Zil kare be ravhu. Right? Oh, wow, what a beautiful dress you have today. You're like a rainbow. You know that? You're as beautiful as a rainbow. Thank you for what? And stars. Wow, beautiful. Rainbow and stars. Beautiful. Beautiful, sweetheart. Thank you for sharing. I think she's the highlight of our day. Okay. Zil kari be ravhu. Right? That's an expression. You're going to go call this guy a rabbi, right? Meaning, right? Or go call in the house of the Rav, meaning every kid went to school and they know that the Chola, the Achbar, the Tzav, and the Halta'ah, they know that all of these clearly defined animals are the ones which will impart that Tumah. And that's not considered a lack of awareness, right? He knew that, right? He knew about that. He went to school, he went to Cheder, right? Everyone knows that.
Can children become tamei?
Children can become tamei, yeah. Won't be obligated in the korban, but it becomes tamei.
So they'd have to go to the mikvah.
Yeah.
Okay. They would have to have knowledge.
Right. So that's considered knowledge. He knew, right? He went to grade school. He went to Cheder when he was 7 years old. He learned that. He knew. So that's considered yediyah. That can't be the question. What was our Papa's question? La'olam diyada b'tumas sheretz. No, everyone knows this tumat sheretz. At least in the time of the Gemara, everybody knew about this tumas sheretz. Ukugon, what's the case? Dinaga b'ka'adasha. He touched a part of it, which was the size of an adasha. Is that a lentil?
Size of a lentil, yeah.
V'lo yada. He did not know. Ka'adasha, such a small size as a lentil, I mitame, I lo mitame. Right? He doesn't know, does that cause tumah or not? My. So how do we view this, Rav Papa asked? Kevan diyada de mitame sheretz ba'olam, yediyahi, since he knows that a sheretz makes a person tameh, and he touched that sheretz, do we say that's considered he had knowledge in the beginning, and then he forgot, and then he knew in the end, he has to bring a korban, his own personal sacrifice, the oliviyori, the fluctuating personal korban he needs to bring, O Dilma, or perhaps no. Kevan de kadasha lo yada, I mitma, I lo mitma, since it was so small as an adasha, and he didn't know, normally, the size that what's our most normal size? Kazayit, the size of an olive. This was less than an olive. Since he did not know that the sheretz will exude and cause him to become impure, even when he touches the size of an adasha, that's considered halamahi. That's not awareness. And if he didn't have awareness in the beginning, and then he entered Mikdash, ate Kodesh, and then he had awareness in the end, oh, that's a case of not awareness in the beginning, yes, awareness in the end. That's the case that the outer seir, communal outer seir on Yom Kippur atones for. And he does not need to bring his own personal sacrifice. That was Rav Papa's question. In a case where he knows he touched the sheretz, touched a very small amount, didn't know that that makes him tameh, is that considered awareness in the beginning, since he knows he touched the sheretz, or not awareness in the beginning, since he doesn't know that that small amount of the size of a lentil will make him tameh? So therefore, is he obligated to bring a korban when he in the interim enters mikdash, eats kodesh, and then he has his oivei moment? Is he obligated to bring his own personal korban, or does the outer seir, communal seir on Yom Kippur on the outer altar, does that cover him? We don't know. Teku. Eliyahu Navi, Elijah the prophet will have to answer that for us. And since we don't know, we'll say he does not bring it. Boy Rabbi Yirmiyah. Rabbi Yirmiyah had his question. Ben Bavel. It's not Rabbi Yirmiyah ben Bavel, by the way. Right? It's not Rabbi Yirmiyah the son of Bavel asked. Right? Rabbi Yirmiyah asked the following case. Ben Bavel, a Babylonian Jew, Sha'allah Eretz Yisrael, who made Aliyah. He went up to Israel. Maybe even had an apartment in Netanya. Who knows? V'nelam mimenu, makom mikdash mahu. And he was unaware of this makom mikdash, this place so he knows that there's a mikdash in Jerusalem.
He didn't see the big signs.
Huh?
Face mikdash this way.
Right? He didn't see the big signs. Yeah? So he knows there's a mikdash, there's a temple in Jerusalem, but he doesn't know exactly what's considered part of the mikdash or not. So do we say that that's considered right? So he knew he was tamei throughout. That wasn't the issue. Here the issue was helam mikdash, right? He didn't know it was mikdash. He found out afterwards it was mikdash. Well, how about? But did he have a first idea or not for this Babylonian Jew who came to Israel? Right? Meaning he knew that there was mikdash, but he didn't know that this was Mikdash. So do we say he knew about the concept of Mikdash? He entered Mikdash, and then he later found out that where he entered was Mikdash. So that's Yediyah, not awareness, beginning and end. And he has to bring his own personal sacrifice. Or do we say no? Since he didn't know that this area was Mikdash, it's not considered awareness in the beginning. It's only considered awareness at the end. And the seir that's done on the outer altar on Yom Kippur, the communal seir, will cover him. How do we view that Yediyah? When he had Yediyah knowledge that there was a mikdash, a temple in Jerusalem, but he didn't know the exact area. Is that considered Yediyah or not? The Gemara says, Rabbi Yirmiyah, the question that you're asking is aliba deman. According to which opinion are you asking your question? According to which opinion is your question relevant? Right? Your question is seemingly only relevant according to Rabbi Akiva, who says that you need to have, right? All that we've been discussing, gentlemen, keep this in mind, right? I don't want to shock anybody, but listen carefully. All that we've been discussing throughout that you need to have knowledge beginning and end, not everyone agrees to that. That's Rabbi Akiva's opinion. Rabbi Yishmael says you don't need knowledge beginning and end. All you need is knowledge at the end, like any other infraction. So you're asking his knowledge, this Babylonian Jew's knowledge of Mikdash, but not of the exact parameters of that Mikdash. Is that considered to be Yediyah or not? That's only relevant according to who? Rabbi Akiva, who requires the original knowledge. If you're asking for Rabbi Akiva, Deboy Yediyah B'tchila, your question makes sense for Rabbi Akiva, who says you need to have knowledge in the beginning, you need to have that first awareness. Halamachayiv al Mikdash. Right? He only says you're liable if what did you forget in the middle? That you were tamei. You forgot that you were tamei and entered Mikdash. Forgot that you were tamei and ate Kodesh. That's the two. But the two that's four, you knew that you were tamei, but forgot about Mikdash. You knew you were tamei, but forgot about Kodesh. He says for that you don't bring the korban. So according to Rabbi Akiva, you're not going to bring a korban in this situation. Why? Whether or not you had Yediyah in the beginning is irrelevant, because what happened in the middle is not something that will obligate you to bring this fluctuating Olav Yored korban. Because it's only if you forgot about your tumah in the middle. Here you forgot about the mikdash in the middle, you don't bring a korban for that. Oh, no. Rabbi Yishmael. I want to go and contra Rabbi Yishmael, who says it's two, that's four, meaning contra Rabbi Yishmael, you are liable when you forgot mikdash, when you had you are liable when there was a non-awareness of mikdash or a non-awareness of kodesh. Rabbi Yishmael, the mechayev al helam mikdash, who says you are liable when you had a non-awareness of mikdash in the middle. Ha lo boy yediyah b'tchila. He doesn't require yediyah awareness in the beginning. He doesn't require awareness in the beginning. So according to Rabbi Yishmael, you don't, right? You clearly are obligated in a korban because I don't care about the first awareness. According to Rabbi Akiva, you're clearly not obligated in the korban because you're only obligating a korban if you forgot Tumah in the middle. Here he forgot Mikdash. So who are you asking? It's not a question. According to Rabbi Yishmael, certainly is liable. According to Rabbi Akiva, certainly not liable. Your question is not a question. The Gemara says, no. Don't be so harsh on Rabbi Yirmiyah. Sricha, we do need his question. His question is a relevant question. Aliba de Rebbe, according to the opinion, not of Rabbi Akiva, there it's clear, no korban. Not Rabbi Shmuel, there it's clear, yes, obligated korban. But the question is according to Rebbe, because Rebbe's view is sort of a hybrid between the two. Rebbe, the boy yediyah betchila, Rebbe requires a first awareness, like Rabbi Akiva, umechayev al hela mikdash, and he says you're also liable the korban olav yored if what you forgot in the middle was mikdash, like Rabbi Yishmael. V'amar, and therefore the question is: do we say yediyat beit rabo shma yedi v'amar, and he also holds yediyat beit rabo shma yediyah. That which you learned in cheder is considered a knowledge, and therefore this guy, the Babylonian, knew at some point that there is a temple in Jerusalem. So he definitely knew there's a temple in Jerusalem, but he did not know that this area that he entered was the Mikdash. How do we view that, Rabbi Yirmiyah? This question is a relevant question, according to the opinion, again, of Rebbe, who says you need knowledge, you need a first awareness that you then forgot, and if you forgot, Sam is here. Good morning, Sam. Good to see you, big boy. Sam, I'm going to see you a little later. I'm going to bring my guitar. We're going to play. We'll do Kabbalat Shabbat today. Okay? Okay, sweetheart. Good. I'll see you a little bit later. You have to make a shidduch over here between the two cute kids.
A little early.
We're going to make a shidduch over here because Liel comes in every morning also and says hello to the class. Right? So we have yeah. We can highly recommend both.
What's the finder's fee?
The finest fee is come to Shir for a month. Okay, Samai, how do we view this? Rabbi Yirmiyah is asking. Came into Yada the Ika Mikdash Ba'olam. Since he knows that there is this concept of Mikdash, that's considered Yediyah. So according to Rebbe, you had Yediyah beginning and you had awareness beginning and end, and he forgot Mikdash in the middle. He must bring a korban, a sacrifice, his own personal sacrifice. Oh, Dilma, perhaps no. Came into Makomo lo Yadale, since he didn't know the exact place, halamahi, that's considered a lack of a awareness, right? Since he came into Makomo lo Yadale, halamahi, since he did not know the exact place, that's not a beginning awareness. That's a beginning lack of awareness. So I've got lack of awareness, and then I've got awareness afterwards. What covers for that? If in such a case, he's not obligated to bring his own personal sacrifice, Ola V'Yored fluctuating. Rather, no Yediyah beginning, yes Yediyah in the end, that the Seir that's brought on Yom Kippur on the outer altar, that will atone for him, but he's not obligated to bring his own things. Okay. The Mishnah then said the same din applies whether he enters the Azara, the courtyard, or the actual courtyard, or part of the courtyard that was added on afterwards. Minahani Mili, how do we know this? How do we know, right? And then we said that it's got to be added on. How? It was quite a procedure. What did you need? You needed the king. You needed the prophet. You needed the Urim and Tumim, the breastplate of the Kohen Gadol. You needed a Sanhedrin of 71. And you needed these two Todot. and you needed sheer song? The Gemara asked me not immediately. How did we know that for all that you need all of that? Amr Rav Simi Bar Chia, Rav Simi Bar Chia says the Amr Kra, the pasuk says, Kechol asher ani mareh otcha, 8 tavnit amishkan, ve8 tavnit kol kelav, v'chein ta'asu. The pasuk says, Hashem, God said to Moses, like all I'm showing you the structure of the Mishkan and the structure of all of the vessels, the very top of 15a, v'chein ta'asu. That's how you should do it. Those extra words, v'chein ta'asu, teach me. That's how you should do it. L'dorot, for all generations. And when Moshe consecrated the Azara, we had Moshe, who was the Melech, and a Navi. His brother was the Kohen Gadol. We had the Urim V'Tumim. We had the 70 Zekanim. That's what we had then. V'chein ta'asu, the pasuk says, that's how you should do it. That's how it needs to be done in the future. So too, if we want to consecrate the Mishkan as greater area of courtyard, we need to have Melech, Navi, Urim V'Tumim, Sanhedrin, Toda, Shir.
Now, this is an old question because I meant to ask it before.
Nothing personal though, but you came just in time for us to end. Okay.
So why do we need anything but the breastplate? Why doesn't that, when that happens, that's a signal from God, right? The breastplate lighting up the letters.
Who says it's lighting up anything?
Oh, you
It needs to be there. It needs to be in attendance.
Oh! I thought.
It needs to be in attendance.
For what reason? I thought it was doing
What
something.
reason? V'chein ta'asu. Why do you need the Melech? Why do you need the Navi?
Because they're going to do
Why do you need the Sanhedrin?
The Melech just doesn't need to be there. He has to agree to it, right? The Sanhedrin
He needs to be there.
Just be there?
He needs to be there.
The Sanhedrin doesn't have to say,
They need to be there.
that's it.
Be there or be
And-
square.
Right?
And
We
somebody
know.
else gets-
And when it comes to Judaism, right? So much is on. You got to be there.
So the Sanhedrin should say, no, we shouldn't do this. And
Yeah.
I said, well, you're all there.
They cannot show up.
Question, if the Beis HaMikdash is built, what do we have to do to be able to get in there? Because it's scary
We'll need
now.
some Para Aduma stuff.
Everybody,
Yeah, we'll need to become purified.
so
Yes.
it's gonna be a long line of people, like, and they're gonna.
I imagine me. I got it. I got it.
If I say a blessing over my wife and people didn't hear me, they didn't say amen, should I re-say the
No.
blessing?
No, absolutely not. That would be a blessing. That would be a blessing in vain. And they missed out. But in the future, try to say it louder so they can have a chance to answer Amen. An opportunity. Scott, I want to give you a call in a little bit, okay?
And make it in
Scott, can I give you a call in a couple minutes?
And that would be a blessing in vain.
When I was in Israel last summer,